I heard that there was some confusion in regards to the fire hydrant and how and where that would have to go.
So I've been to Basin Engineering, and basically Basin Engineering want to put it on the far end, and that is because of the fiber optics that run down the highway on top of the water line.
For clarity, where is the far end?
By the tire shop.
Okay, by the manufacturing, the M1?
Yes. No, opposite of that, I'm sorry.
The north end.
Oh.
Yes, north end. That's where Basin Engineering would approve for me to put a fire hydrant.
Oh, yes.
And that's only because of, I mean, yeah, I can go pay and have somebody put it all in, but if there has to be maintenance to the town, they would want it down there because there's no hazards down there to the water line for them to access the tap or anything like that.
James, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there any, and there probably is there anything that precludes us from issuing a special use permit for him to operate his business that would be specific to this property owner? To operate this business on that land in the fashion that he'd like to, maintaining the current zoning, but if he ever turns around and sells it, that permit goes away?
Yeah, so Travis and I actually looked at that yesterday, and basically RA5 has a bunch of uses, and the last one is that any other use that the county commission deems similar. So it's kind of a catch-all, but it doesn't give you unlimited power.
Shane.
It's in my evaluation of that, basically a manufactured home dealership I can't do the mental gymnastics it takes to deem that a similar use to ranch agricultural, which is what it's zoned as. So it would have to be rezoned, and then he would still have to come back for a special use permit for a mobile home dealership.
And under the current, if we were to approve it under C2, he would have to get a special use permit still as well. Correct?
Yeah.
What I
Exactly.
see from the code.
So if we were to approve it, it would have to change the zoning first, and then go through the process again to get special use for mobile home dealership.
That's true, because ultimately, I mean, if it would be acceptable with the neighbors that they operate the business, but we don't do the zoning change that negatively impacts them, everybody wins.
Yeah, that's the rub, is the way that we have to go about this. And even if there was a way to do that, like a variance, this would I guess what I'm trying to say is this is the cleanest way to do it if the desire is to do it.
I think if we were to go under the current zone, we would have to go add some sort of another line item on the code under RA5 that says mobile home or something to that effect, dealership allowed with a special use permit.
If we were to do that, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can benefit all parties. If we were to do that, my question goes to the surrounding homeowners. Are you amenable to that if this could be used in the fashion that he needs to, but it doesn't affect a zoning change, so those negative impacts come your way?
No.
Okay.
We had, I'll talk to them. We had this discussion many times. Ramsey started it. I've had this discussion.
Bill, please come forward.
For the record, I'm William Butts. I live at 621 East 93rd Street. Been there, owned that property for 60 years. I thought it was 55, but it's 60. I was the first person out there. We bought it, was RA5, had a pretty nice neighborhood. A couple of people that were notable that you all know, Scott Henroy, Judge and Rescue. That was our neighborhood, Harry Ellis. And of course my kids. Everything went quite well, they was doing good. And we used to have a highway association that if they ever wanted to change the zoning, the highway association jumped in and it was a tough nut to crack. And we've been down this road many times. Rod McKenzie tried to put a truck stop in there. No. And to talk about the sewage and the septic tanks. NRS says, 444, I think that's off my top of my head, that you will use the septic, the sewer lines if it's in 400 feet of your property. No question, you will use it. That totally eliminates that whole piece of property, except right up by me. So he's gotta be within 400 feet, all the lots across the end. There's not much left there, it's already 5. As for water, everybody could drill a well just like we did. Water is available for anybody that wants it for domestic use, there's not a problem. You know, how many zoning changes we have to fight off out there? And when you look at everything over the years, I've got to get my thoughts order, get excited. You had master plans. How many master plans have been in 60 years? You just signed one about a year and a half ago that never said anything about changing zoning on anything. That's the way it is. Nothing changed. Can't be too much of a crisis. I believe Tim made a bad business decision. I talked to him about it. He knew from the day one that we would oppose it, and we do. All of the people that live down there, we don't have everybody here. I'm sure Scott's dad would be here, but he's like me, he's getting old too. It's just, it's our neighborhood, we want it to stay that way. Another thing the commission's gonna have to meet is the raceway that goes down the dirt road there, but we'll address that in another thing. Let me look at my little list of things to do. Mackenzie was gonna put a truck stop out there, but he couldn't do it. I guess to put in, to drill into that sewer line, put a retention tank and an injection pump in, which I used to do when I used to work in the business. It's gonna be very expensive for anybody out there on that piece of property to do it. So, we had kind of a little meeting with some of the people that live out there, and none of them want to subdivide and go take it all or nothing. That's the way it'll be. It's been that way, and with the Rex building the houses back there, it's going to end up being more and more people want to get out of town, and I'm sure they could buy a lot out there, drill a well, it'd be cheaper than doing a business in town once they get going over the long term. But anyway, I'd like to see you not approve it. And I'd ask Commissioner Wallace to recuse himself, because he came to the meeting for the Regional Planning Commission and hustled to go to spot zoning. And I don't think he's an impartial player in this. So with that, that's where we're at out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak to this? It's kind of a touchy subject, and maybe please come forward and state your name.
Hi, I'm Cheryl McDunt. Good to see you guys. We need to start opening our arms out for new businesses and try to help instead of putting up hurdles and hoops. And I understand that, you know, there are concerns too, but I understand him too. You know, we need the housing. And White Pine County Land Acts, the BLM has, they're supposed to give up 45,000 acres. So if we could get them to give more land around our community, they've only given up 100 acres in 16 years. And they don't have a time limit to give up the 45,000, but if we could get them to give up more, it would give more opportunity for businesses and housing to come in. And in Central Ely, I've lived there for 37 years, and it's zoned MH3, which there's more houses than manufactured homes down there. So that needs to be corrected. And I think Tim's place where he can't get any water rights to do agriculture, and it is along the highway where things are C3, and he's willing to even do partial area, not the full acreage he has. And the special use permit would be good, because that would give him a chance, but if he ever sold it, it would go back to what the original agriculture. So it is a good spot, and there's not much commercial property for sale, and anything that comes up just goes really quick because we're so short on everything. So I'm for Tim and his business, and he's just trying to help our community with the housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Anyone else? Is there anyone on the phone? Last call on the phone, we're gonna try to expedite this meeting here. So, anybody, George? Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in favor of Mr. Vidrine doing what he wants to do, and there is a need. However, the location is not conducive. I've been in the meetings with the master plan, I'm gonna tell you, 40, maybe 50 years. And when they did the changes, that particular location was not changed. And there was a reason, because of the residents there. Those residents there are on septic systems because there wasn't at one time a water and sewer line that ran past them. However, a grant was put in, obtained, excuse me. You ran a water and sewer line out to the industrial park to enhance growth. Then George Swallow, as an agent for the people that had Aspen Heights prior, and I can't remember what their name, they paid for an upgrade for the water and sewer lines to accommodate Aspen Heights and any other residential growth out in that area. Now, those that are grandfathered in, meaning they were residential, they put in their septic tank at the time prior to the sewer line, water lines going in, they're grandfathered in. However, anyone else that goes out there is mandated by the Nevada Administrative Code. If there, others were allowed to put in a septic system, then if it was the state that inspected it, the state violated their own administrative code. I have 10 acres out there. I had to put in a new septic system. The building inspector made me hire a contractor. Could have done it myself, but I didn't. You have mixed signals going out in this community and it needs to stop. You killed growth for years, and now we're going to make special commitments. The gentleman said he has access to work under a contractor's license. You can't do that. An individual roofed my building, which still leaks today under Mr. Ramsey's license. Your building inspector told me F you, U, F, and P. I hired a poor contractor. That needs to stop. I need to be made whole. And on this thing here, where someone says you can't have access to water rights, probably not through the state, but there are individuals that sell part of their water rights. I know individuals that are doing that now. However, because of the location, you have to hook up to the water system. Whoever put in those septic systems within 400 feet did it illegally. If it was the state that approved it, again, they violated their own rules and regulations. Let's see. We have a master plan for one reason, to help the community growth in an orderly fashion. If we're not going to adhere to it, then you need to trash it. I've been coming to meetings for years, and I've seen good people come in here want to invest in this community, and we turned them down. Now you're up against a blade supposedly for housing, and you're willing to jump through all kinds of hoops. There are areas available to accommodate Mr. Vidrine, but unfortunately not in that area. The McKenzie's long-term residents in this community tried to put in a truck stop. They killed that plan. They only allowed them to do the IML freight yard, and that was it. You need to stick to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the building, on the phone? Hearing none. Where do we need to go from here? What, does someone have something?
Bill.
Oh, Bill, please come forward.
One other point I'd like to make, before you had the manufacturing down there, that was nice business. You had the IML freight yard, the guy was running a welding shop, that was good over there. Then it was sold. look what you got there now at the IML. Look what's happening down there below. We got 2 junkyards, 2 really big junkyards. And I don't know what the hell they do over there, but they work way late at night, I know that. Anyway, I think that we ought to be looking at the zoning, the whole picture at all. If you're gonna do anything, you should clean up them 2 messes there while you're at it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, this is a public hearing, and I'm just gonna kinda ask James to kinda help me along here, I don't know.
So I'd like to refocus, and it is for discussion of possible action. So there's a motion that can be made or lack of motion. The question we're answering, that the commission is answering, is after this public hearing, does the county determine that public necessity, convenience, general welfare, or good zoning practice requires this change? And in light of that, some of the things to help you answer that question you heard on both sides about policy reasons for or against, why it would be good for the community, why it wouldn't be good for the community. And so it's the commission's duty to weigh that, make the decision. If it's in the negative, then it would just die for lack of motion. I just wanted to remind everybody, you can't make a negative motion. But, I lost my train of thought. But, well, so whatever, if there's a motion in the affirmative, then my request is that it's pretty clear if it's one or more of these considerations, public necessity, convenience, general welfare, or good zoning practice, or multiple of those, that those are stated, and if it was based on any documents or testimony or your personal knowledge of the area, if you could state that too, so I have a clear record going forward if this is challenged.
I have one quick question based on this map I'm looking at. If we do this either way, will it affect, and I don't like to use a personal name, will it affect the proposed housing that's adjacent to Aspen Heights in any way, shape, or form? Or is it, they are a separate, totally separate request?
So it appears to me, and I'm not an expert on zoning or development, but it appears to me that the sewer issue is getting conflated with this issue. This issue is do we want this parcel to be rezoned commercial or not? Whether it's going to have any follow-on effects, I can't say with any kind of certainty.
I appreciate that, thank you. I just had that question and I understand where we're at on it. Does any other commissioner, before we decide to make a vote or ask for a motion, does any other commissioner have anything they'd like to address right now?
Can we take 2 seconds
Sure.
for a very, very brief break? And James, if I could talk to you,
Sure.
would you mind?
Sure.
Do we need,
Is that,
I mean,
It just
you
may be a
can
minute.
call a recess if you want to.
as we do that, is this just the 2 of you, or is this something that the commission as a whole? We can take a break.
I mean, if there's a question that you have about this, you can probably ask it.
not quite.
Okay.
Okay, then,
It has to do with this, but
Okay.
well, my question then, and I'm just not trying to be crazy here, my question is, should the entire commission be privy to this conversation?
I don't know.
That's
I don't
what
know
I'm
what
trying
you're
to, what I'm trying to say is, should we?
It does involve another commissioner, and
That's,
If the,
I'm
listen,
sorry,
no, I got you, but
I can go ahead.
if the question is on, I don't want to speculate.
Okay,
I got no problem, should we go into a timeout for a litigation session, or should we just take a quick
I
break?
don't know if it's a litigation session, so I
Okay.
can't
No,
imagine.
no,
Here's what I'll do, I'll just call for a 5-minute break right now, just like we normally would, and if you have a question on your own, look for somebody on,
I appreciate that.
that's what we'll do. Let's take a 5-minute break. Sorry for the, it wasn't quite an interruption, it was just a break, so, we're just gonna presume, we're in we have an open item, and it's it was the 9:30 item, and we're still in that. And James has given us some ideas of what we can and can't do. We can make a motion, we can see if it passes, whatever we wanna do. And, okay, Travis?
I just had another question for Tim on his application here. It shows like he's wanting to do 5 acres commercial and leave 7.86 the same, but then on our agenda, it's having the whole thing is C2, so I just would like some clarity on that front, what actually is.
So basically, I do intend on putting my house out there. I had to come back in and do a new classification for caretaker's agreement or whatever it is. So it's just like basically sending in a permit kind of thing. You come up here and get it approved through the regional planning board committee. But I do, if I have houses out there, it's definitely, I would want to live out there, yes. As far as for my business, you know what, I've had like a handful of things thrown at me to approve of this, and I've agreed to every one of them. I've agreed to the special use permit, I've agreed to splitting the property in half, rezoning whatever, half of it that and half of it residential agriculture, whatever they wanted, because you can't divide it no less than 5 acres, so it would have to be split in half.
So you're talking the front half north of the highway would be where the C2 would be, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. There's a 6-foot wire fence, so it would go start there and then wherever it would tailor in at the other end for it's split in half.
And then the 7.86 acres that are by the residences would remain RA5.
Yes. I've agreed to everything that anybody's thrown at me as for an action plan to make this work. Only thing we're doing is for our own community. I've had to cancel 3 brand new homes that would have already been delivered here due to this. You know, I've already been in 3 months trying to get this approved. I really appreciate it. We can come down to agreement today of what we can do so we can move this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
So
go ahead, Maureen.
that confused me a little bit. The way it's on the agenda, are we agendizing then to vote for just the 5 acres?
Well, it says to reconsider his application, so I guess it would be properly agended then, because in his application, he has 5 acres commercial, 7.86 agriculture.
So yeah, if I can clarify, this is an appeal from the RPC's decision. So we take what the RPC considered, and then you guys deliberate on whether they properly decided that or not.
James, I got a question for you that something Tim just said. So do we have something in place that precludes him from selling homes without a business site set up? Because he just stated that he canceled 3 new homes because he didn't have this done.
If he wants to use that property for the purposes of people coming to the property, looking at the homes and selling the homes, and that's
Right,
commercial.
but if he has 3, but just for clarity, you had 3 pre-sold orders that you could have had, and I just was curious, is there a reason that you had to cancel them just because this wasn't done?
Yes, because if I had 3 houses sitting on that property just sitting there with plastic, I can guarantee you, the sheriff would probably would have been down there. I didn't want to go through that. I am a licensed dealer, so I can order houses, and I do have 3 more, those same 3 orders that would have been here. I canceled them, went to another dealership in another town, and I have 3 more that are on order, because the manufactured housing world, they're 18 months behind. For even as me as a dealer, I'm still 3 to 6 months out just for models.
I'm just having a hard time understanding, if there were 3 pre-solds, were they gonna come to that property, or were they gonna go direct to?
No, they would have came to my property, they were my floor models.
Oh,
There
okay,
you go. That was
okay,
the confusion.
okay, I thought it was 3 pre-sold orders.
Yeah.
No, I had 3 houses that were supposed to be here this month already. I tell you,
Okay, I just didn't understand, but I thought they were,
Yeah.
I thought you had 3 pre-solds that you'd had to cancel.
Oh, no, they'll
No.
go to whatever property we're.
Okay, I was just trying to clarify on that, I didn't understand that statement.
Sorry.
Tim, real quick,
Yes, ma'am.
the 2 septic tanks, which, are they on the 5 acres that's gonna be zone commercial?
It would be split half and half. So the razor wire fence, all the way down, that would be the highway side, that would be commercial. And then the other side would be my house, which would be RA5, which would be my house, would be a buffer between me and Bill.
Can you come draw what
Zone
your,
commercial finish.
what you're saying.
So on this map, it doesn't show it. It doesn't show the shop and the razor wire fence, which comes out like right here somewhere.
We talked about.
So basically, it would be split.
Go ahead.
Like I said, there's razor wire fence that comes out here.
Where you try to make, sir.
So basically, I was split it, wherever it would come out to its point, you know what I mean? I'm not a surveyor.
So yeah, commercial here and then RA5
Yes, sir.
there.
So either way, it would have been split.
There you go. So there's a shop here already on the picture, RA5 commercial. This is what he wants to do.
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute.
Could we see what we're talking about?
Yeah, we need to share this,
okay.
this is, yeah.
Is there a way we can,
Put that on the screen.
Yeah,
Real quick, guys, I have to go, I really can't stay any longer.
Okay.
Bert.
But I wanted to say something before we get.
Bert.
Go ahead.
Listen, I feel like we're getting hung up on stuff that's irrelevant, that I don't know.
Yes, Commissioner Carson.
Hold on,
Wait, Travis,
give me a second,
Ian.
I just wanna say this and I'm out the door, I'm gonna get on Zoom and participate. Septic tanks, all of that stuff, not relevant. At least not to me in terms of the merits of whether or not we do this. And we, as far as I can tell, I'm not here to discuss whether or not he made good decisions, whether or not mistakes were made, all of that, that's on him. The issue is we have worked very hard to get our housing resolved here. This is a very practical solution. This is a person who stepped in excitedly, came to one of our meetings, introduced himself to everybody, and was coming here to help us resolve this solution. And what he's been met with is a whole lot of bureaucracy and a little bit of pushback from residents, which is expected, that's all fine. I have not personally heard anything of substance that would dissuade me from wanting to let him move forward with his project. In terms of anything that negatively affects the county as a whole, or the direction that we're trying to go in terms of resolving our housing issue, which is a big, big deal. I mean, it's literally one of the main things holding us back from stepping into these new things we want to do.
Could you talk louder?
I'm sorry, Bill. So, that's all I wanted to say about it is I'm sorry that there are residents that are gonna be negatively impacted, at least from their perspective. But in the bigger picture of moving forward our housing, moving forward our growth, and seeing this become a sustainable community that doesn't turn into a ghost town when the mine shuts down, I appreciate that he's made this effort. And like I said, septic tanks, contractors' licenses, that stuff, we can debate about that all day long. I don't know that it's relevant to this discussion. What I'm concerned about is whether or not, looking at all these other commercial properties up and down this highway and all the stuff that's already going on, I haven't been given any reasonable evidence to tell me that this is an unreasonable thing to do. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna get on Zoom and,
Okay, drive safe, Ian.
Thanks, Ian.
thanks, guys.
You would like to comment?
Just real quick, I just got two things. Talking about the,
Introduce yourself so we can have.
oh, Nico to rescue again. We're talking about the housing shortage, so you're taking two lots of, that could be used for RA5 residential living right there, if you rezone this to commercial. So right there, you're taking two spots out of the community. The second thing is, the biggest thing what it boils down to is the rezoning and the reclassification to a C2 property in 20 years could be anything. It's not about his business. It could turn into whatever they wanted out there, you know. Look at
Which is what we tried to propose for change, but Bill said that it's either all or nothing. Does he speak for you on that point? Because we could do the RA5 with